Oh, already 8:53. Thank you very much for joining our online reading session of the book The Modern Mission of Srila Prabhupada. So we'll start over with our humble prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamini Dinamani Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamani Namaste Saras Deve Gauravani Pacharani Vishesha Shunyamadi Panchmakudeshta Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Gaur Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karati Vasanam Sangam Niyaya Dekiri Muttari Prata Mahamad Deshi Vindhikar Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Savakshasi Yasyaspi Hridaya Samritam Nrsimham Aham Bhaje Guru Vyam Guru Gurve Gaurachandraya Adhikaya Kadale Krishnaya Krishnaya Yomta Pravisham Machanam Prasaptam Sanjeevaya Prasupamanyam Chistacham Ina samsara ko bhakto vachan sukhato vachan samsashu. Jai Shri. Okay, Prabhuji. Oh, everybody left. Okay, Paramatmananda Prabhu, you can start reading.
Pranam Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Secular education for devotees. Often Srila Prabhupada discouraged his disciples from pursuing secular education, instead directing them to the highest study of all, that of his books. There is no necessity of attending a university. We have got enough of a university educational program in our Krishna consciousness movement. Regarding your personal to become a doctor because your mother wants to prosecute your education, I think if you can learn Krishna consciousness perfectly by reading our different books, you will be a better doctor than the ordinary physician. The ordinary physician may cure the disease of the body, but if you become advanced in Krishna consciousness, you will be able to cure the disease of the soul for many persons. And that is more important than a doctor or medical practitioner for curing the disease of this body. I do not think it is necessary for you to return to your university for taking further education. Your education is to be found in our books. The material education is finished. If you want to teach in universities and colleges, they must accept us on our high degree of Vedic learning, not on our so called credentials. They must accept our system of scholarly learning from the spiritual master. So do not bother yourself anymore with this idea, but go on learning from our own scriptural evidence how great the supreme science is. Your depth of understanding will be the credentials. Let them accept us on that basis. To a non-devotee student who had come to interview him, Srila Prabhupada expressed disdain of worldly studies and encouraged her to study that which is actually important. You are an intelligent girl. Study this Krishna consciousness. That will benefit you. Anthropology, you may get some degree. adoration, what is the benefit? And Srila Prabhupada often quoted Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jara Vidya Jata Mayara Vaibhav Tumara Bhajane Badha. Materialistic studies are the glare of Maya only, and for they are an obstacle to spiritual progress. Although intrinsically Srila Prabhupada did not care for nonsense PhD, he also saw that secular education could be dovetailed in devotional service, and that some level of basic schooling was required for devotees so they would not be considered foolish. Appreciating that his American disciples were preaching Krishna consciousness in its pure form, despite having undergone secular education and not wanting that his followers be known as fools. Srila Prabhupada deemed it acceptable that devotees' children be taught geography and history. There is no harm in getting knowledge about our material earth planet even after learning all the countries and places, names, landscapes, production, natural resources, climates, oceans, deserts. However, we shall not teach the history as Darwin has given, or any opinion or secular speculation. For teaching in Gurukula in America, Srila Prabhupada suggested that some devotees be trained in colleges and take teacher exams. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would advise devotees to finish a course of secular education, especially if they had already completed a significant part. For instance, in 1967, before ISKCON had established any educational facility, Srila Prabhupada directed two devotees of pre-university age to continue their basic schooling, considering it to be important for preparing preachers. For the present, you should continue going to school because education is important. Without education, nobody has any social position, and all our students in Krishna consciousness are expected to be preachers. So, preachers must have sufficient education because they have to meet with so many opposing elements. Education should be continued. At the same time, chanting should be continued. There will be no difficulty. He iterated this policy in a letter of 1970. Paramatma Das should simply push on with his schoolwork as much as it may be necessary, and the remainder of the time he may spend with the devotees in our Krishna conscious activities. In the past, many of our devotees like Lila Sukha, Kanchabala, Indira, etc., in New York,
Kanchan Bala. It's called
Kanchanbala,
Kanchan Bala. Kanchan Bala.
Kanchanbala, Indira, etc. in New York, Saradia in Boston, and some others in Buffalo and in other places have also finished up their required education in the public schools. Also in 1967, an explicit instruction. My first instruction to you is that you must pass your MA examination before any other consideration. Your degree will be a great asset for the society in the near future. When Yaduvara Das asked if he should complete his master's thesis, Srila Prabhupada asked, how long will it take? 3 or 4 months. Came the reply, yes, why not? In 1970, while advising a devotee to finish his education, Srila Prabhupada cited that in the past many of our devotees have finished They required education in the public schools in spite of continuous disturbances by the non-devotee students and faculty. To a PhD candidate who was newly taking interest in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada wrote, "You are an educated man and you can use your education very nicely in the service of Krishna. I like your idea to continue on for a PhD, presenting our books and philosophy in your thesis. This will be a great service for you to perform, and I shall be very grateful to you if you can do it. Please therefore go ahead with obtaining PhD and become a learned scholar in the science of loving Krishna. This will be a wonderful credit for you, and you will surely get recognition from Krishna for such an attempt." Srila Prabhupada wrote similarly to another newcomer, a science student. "We can use this science to defeat them, just as I have many other disciples, such as Swarup Damodar. He is a PhD in chemistry and now he is using his scientific background to defeat their atheistic arguments." There is a Bengali proverb, Toro Shila Toro Nora, Toro Bhangi Datero Gora. I take your mortar I take your mortar and pestle and I break your teeth. This means that we use the scientists' own weapons and with them we defeat their atheistic philosophy. There is another example. A hatchet is sitting before a tree. The tree asks, "What are you doing here?" The hatchet replies, "I have come here to cut you down." The tree then said, "You cannot cut me down alone, but with the help of my descendants, you can do it." The idea is that the axe handle is made of wood, and so without the assistance of the wooden tree, the hatchet is useless. Similarly, we can use our materialistic knowledge to defeat the atheistic philosophy of the scientists. So you also can continue your studies and learn what is Sheila and Nora, mortar and pestle. So you can break their Datero Gora teeth. To an already initiated Indian disciple, there is no need to give up studies to be a devotee. In America, a number of our students joined with us before they graduated, but still they went on to graduate with honors. Another reason for continuing one's studies. Because you are in college, please take this opportunity to convince some of your fellow students about Krishna consciousness. He encouraged one devotee with an academic position to remain in it to preach. If Bill Prabhu holds a university post, that is a very important position for spreading Krishna consciousness, and he should try to keep it as long as it will be beneficial. Addressing a group of disciples who had been trained as scientists before coming to Krishna consciousness, the initial members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, Srila Prabhupada said, "You are nicely educated. Now, by dint of your education, prove that the background is Krishna. Then your education will be perfect. Otherwise, you are one of these fools and rascals." The particular type of education, mathematics, chemistry, physics, that you have learned after working so hard, now you should, by your departmental education, prove that the background is Krishna. Srila Prabhupada perceived that educated people would be obliged to take seriously a devotee of recognized scholarly acumen. By the grace of Krishna, you have got a position in the educational field. Doctor of Chemistry. When you present when you present our philosophy, the educated circle will have to listen. They cannot neglect. Accordingly, Srila Prabhupada commented that we require many PhDs for our Bhaktivedanta Institute for higher study. Also, Srila Prabhupada told Gopaswami Das to continue with medical studies so that he could help care for devotees in future. Srila Prabhupada also approved that some disciples resume studies in secular institutions. To a devotee of scholarly aptitude whose father had written to Srila Prabhupada proposing his son's return to academics, Srila Prabhupada suggested the pursuance of a career that could serve the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. It appears that you are a good scholar and there is very good background in your educational career. So if you wish to make progress further in your educational career, that will be a nice asset for our Krishna consciousness movement. You have a taste for psychology and divinity studies, and this is very nice. Of course, our Krishna consciousness movement is on the line of divinity, and we have got so many books about the science of divinity. Unfortunately, these books are not yet on the university curriculum. But if you take your postgraduate studies in divinity by comparative study, then in the future we shall be able to present the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in comparison to other theological presentations. Actually, we are teaching the science of God. We are teaching how to develop our dormant propensity to love God. Being parts and parcel of the Supreme, we have got an eternal affinity to love God. Unfortunately, by our contact with the matter, we have practically forgotten that we are eternally related with God. In our Krishna consciousness philosophy, there is no question of sectarian views. Krishna consciousness is the postgraduate study of all the religious conceptions of the world. I like the idea that you should make a thorough study of all theological schools, and in the future, if you can explain our Krishna consciousness movement as the postgraduate presentation of all theological theses, then it will be a great accomplishment. Balavanta Das recalled the case of Rupanuga Das, a GBC member with a university degree, who proposed becoming qualified as a lawyer. Rupanuga wrote to Prabhupada to ask if he could go to law school. Although I had not asked Rupanuga, he also asked Prabhupada if I could go, as well as other people like Amarendra. Srila Prabhupada wrote back, yes, you may go, but not that all our men should become lawyers. But in Balavanta's case, I can understand that he wants to use this for political preaching, so in that way it is all right, but not that everyone should become lawyers. Then he said, I have always wanted a lawyer on the GBC, so on that basis he gave us permission. Harisauri Das described this in more detail. Rupanuga informed Srila Prabhupada that a regular amount is going for legal expenses involved in Sankirtan expansion. The kind of extensive legal work going on there to open distribution spots and keep them open is further indication that legal expenses will continue to be a regular part of the budget for the majority of temples. Legal expenses will increase as expansion of book distribution increases, and they should be calculated into monthly budget. This prompted him to suggest that some of our devotees become lawyers to save the movement money, and because I have never met a Karmi lawyer I trust enough. I think that in the long run, we will need Krishna conscious lawyers to fight effective battles in the courts. But lawyers do not join the movement. He said that simply by becoming a clerk for a lawyer for 5 years, a person could then sit for the state bar exam without going to law school. I think we should seriously consider training devotee lawyers. Prabhupada was agreeable regarding our men becoming lawyers. Yes, do it. For a graduate, it is not difficult. You can also take a degree. However, 5 years is too long for our men to work as a clerk. That is not good. In Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada wanted a government recognized adult school for teaching our students Hindi and Sanskrit for two reasons. First of all, if we can establish a bona fide language school, then our American and European disciples can acquire student visas for coming to India. Secondly, if our students can actually preach in Hindi, periodically quoting Sanskrit, it will be a very good credit for us and very respectfully received by the Indian people.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Part 7. 4 aphorisms. Books are the basis, preaching is the essence, utility is the principle, purity is the force. These aphorisms have attained almost canonical status within ISKCON. Books are the basis, and purity is the force, are recorded as having been directly given by Srila Prabhupada. According to one source, Srila Prabhupada spoke the others in 1971. Together, they were featured on the masthead of the weekly Sankirtan newsletter that in the mid 1970s reported book distribution scores to Srila Prabhupada and devotees worldwide. Srila Prabhupada would read and relish every issue. These 4 sayings were clearly approved by Srila Prabhupada and they encapsulate much of his mood and mission. Chapter 1. Books are the basis. All the 7 prime purposes that Srila Prabhupada established for ISKCON are to be fulfilled by the last stated to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. Books are the basis of our movement. Without our books, our preaching will have no effect. Books are the basis of our movement. Whatever appreciation we are getting on account of our books is because we are following the path chalked out by exalted devotees. We are not writing something whimsical. These beautiful books have become the firm basis of our movement, and any intelligent person in any part of the world cannot fail to admire them. In the following text, Mukunda Goswami gives an overview of why the publication and distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books form the basis of the Krishna consciousness movement. They act as an instrument manual by which one can maneuver successfully through the material world. They present perspectives on contemporary problems. They fulfill the desire of spiritual predecessors to spread the message of love of God. They provide an alternative to materialism. They clearly explain the nature. Oh, Krishna. They provide an alternative to materialism. They clearly explain the nature of material existence. They answer the most probing philosophical questions such as who am I, who is God, what is time, what is time, nature, and destiny, where am I going. From 1967 to 1977, despite advanced age, Srila Prabhupada circled the globe almost continually, lecturing and managing the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement. Nevertheless, during all this travel, he wrote non-stop. In his books, in his personal life, he advocated simple living, high thinking, voluntary simplicity, and a happy, peaceful life with Krishna at the center. He wrote as a full-time practitioner and personally followed the philosophy he preached. In his book, Srila Prabhupada teaches a complete science of life. In the 1980s, Srila Prabhupada books were introduced in many leading universities, finding a home in large sector of academia. Most members of ISKCON commit themselves to the philosophy, practice, and spreading of Krishna consciousness because of knowledge gained from Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada wrote, Srila Prabhupada called ISKCON the Hare Krishna movement because he had an agenda for social change. Those who read his books come to understand this and perspective, a sense of urgency for propagating Vedic knowledge. Students of Srila Prabhupada's books hope for such change and many work vigorously for it. During his time with us, Srila Prabhupada constantly encouraged widespread book distribution as the start. During his time with us, Srila Prabhupada constantly encouraged widespread book distribution as the top priority. He indicated that these writings would gradually affect change. In the preface to his translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he quotes from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 11, where it is said that transcendental literature about Lord Krishna brings about a revolution in the empire's lives of a misdirected civilization. More succinctly, Tamal Krishna Goswami also analyzed how books form the basis of this movement. Srila Prabhupada's purports were designed as the intellectual superstructure upon which the society he founded could be built. Srila Prabhupada himself predicted that our writing will be the gospel. To further appreciate how books are the basis requires an understanding of Srila Prabhupada's vision of preaching. Preaching means book distribution. These literatures further affirmation. These literatures are the solid ground upon which our preaching stands. These books are the foundation stone of our movement. Whatever we are is resting on these books. Reading and distributing them, this should be our only motto. Distribution of books and magazines gives a solid basis to our preaching. I am encouraged to see your report of the books sold because it proves that you consider it your responsibility to see that more and more people are reading our literature. Actually, this is the solid basis for our preaching work. No other movement has got such profuse authority for preaching. Yeah, no other movement has got profuse authority for preaching. What Sadhguru is writing? Nothing. He doesn't write anything. Rather, he says very clearly that I've never read Bhagavad Gita. I don't know anything of that Bhagavad. I am by my own experience. What nonsense is this? One who is in his own experience, why he has to try to change others? Because everybody has their own experience. Why you have to interfere in others' experience then? So he is a bogus rascal. Ravi Shankar, he has nothing, no books. He has not written anything. He doesn't know what is he speaking. Eunuch trying to speak something is like a hijra. What to speak of Nityananda? He is a rascal. He is a woman abuser, pedophile, everything. And Asharam Babu, what nonsense. He is one more nonsense. Ram Rahim, he doesn't know any religion. Nobody has written any books. And whatever books have written by so-called nonsense motivational speakers, it's all foolish. It's all bang, bang, and then bloop, bloop. Use this. It's like a big balloon and finally burst into pieces. Uh, so many people nowadays book writing has stopped so much. Devotees much not are not writing. Previously, it was like a competition among the devotees with their pictures on their faces on the books, their picture on the books about themselves, autobiography of themselves. Who wants you? You are another conditioned soul. Who wants you are this one? They have words like wisdom, sharing, caring, CEOs wisdom, Gita for CEO, Gita wisdom for CEOs. All these writings they write. There is no use of such books. It will be there as long as they are there in this world, and after that nobody bothers who has written them. Uh, why they write just for the sake of titillating the senses of those people who think that they have written some books and get some views, get some TRP, get some attention for themselves. Uh, so this is what. So no other movement, even in ISKCON, many devotees are writing books, but others it is just to get sales, get to books sold, uh, so that they will get some money for their temple maintenance. Distribution of books and magazines is our most important activity. Without books, our preaching has no solid basis. Without books and magazines, what authority or what basis have we got for preaching? The more we distribute books, the more we get solid ground of preaching work. This is what is important. In many temples, book distribution is just meant for pre-brahmachari training or brahmachari training. That's all. After that, book distribution is done on once in a year, like a finale, like a farewell party. Every once in a year on marathon, they gang up, and then they make sponsorship for grahasthas, inspire them to take the books. Now it is becoming like a affair. Whenever there is some festival, okay, Bhadra Purnima, gang up everybody and then tell everybody, okay, we are giving books. And okay, Prabhupada Appearance Day, okay, Prabhupada Disappearance Day, Prabhupada Leelamrita, get sponsored and then distribute them. Okay, during this one, okay, anyhow, we're distributing books that can be seen, but it is only to get attention, to get more and more books. But actually, book distribution means every day going to the books, individually distributing books. That is what is important. Whether books are going or not, whether people are taking or not, whether people are giving donation or not, that is not doesn't matter. You have to just go out, distribute books one to one. That requires lot of patience, lot of there is lot of pain, and there is lot of austerity. It's a lot of austerity. It's not so difficult. It's not so easy. Just like you have devotees have already prepared PPT, just go to the college and just show the PPT. That's all over. What else you need to do? If you are giving 2 3 years some succession course, there is nothing fun in that. You can just speak the same thing, blabber the same thing, same soul, body, this, that. But book distribution, every book is a surrender, unless and until otherwise books won't go. Krishna will take you on a toss. You may think, okay, I distributed on Bhagavatam set. No, next then again there is Bhagavatam set. You have to distribute. So every book is a surrender. Every book is a different experience. So it's like that. Thus, by distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, devotees partake in the process of social change, the revolutionary method of making the material world God-centered and therefore more livable. The publication and distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books forms the basis of the Krishna consciousness movement. The knowledge contained therein brings about the impetus for positive change. Although the soul can never be perfectly satisfied anywhere, but in the spiritual world, the presence of the spiritual world can be felt here and now by acquiring transcendental knowledge and engaging in bona fide spiritual practices. In response to a devotee's lavish yet accurate and meaningful praise concerning his book, Srila Prabhupada uh, laconically summarize the what is laconically. Laconic means using very few words. Okay, powerful speech or style of writing using few words. Gyanagamaya, Gyanagamya. You are the greatest teacher in recorded history, Prabhupada, because your movement is so well founded in these books more than any religious teacher, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus Christ. Your movement is perfectly founded even during your own lifetime. All your books are perfectly edited by you. It is truly Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Srila Prabhupada. Books means solid ground. What we want to preach, it is recorded, not any concocted ideas. And it is One thing I found in Prabhupada's books and whatever Prabhu is saying here, any religious teacher, books given by religious teacher, Muhammad, Christ, okay, Christianity, Islam, they have not seen their book. Muhammad has not seen Quran, and Jesus Christ has not seen his Bible. Jesus Christ, after 450 years of his crucifixion, Bible was written. After 300 to 400 years of Muhammad's disappearance, or uh, he's killed, I think. He was killed, or he was died, whatever it is. What is that? Islam, Quran was written. Hadith was written much later. So they have not seen their own books, but Prabhupada has himself given their books, the books. So he is the Vyasadeva of the. Vyasadeva has come mercifully in the form of Srila Prabhupada. In one sense, Vyasadev's mercy has come in the form of Srila Prabhupada. That's why the Shastra for this Kali Yuga is Srila Prabhupada's books. What Shastra? We don't know anything about the Shastra. No ISKCON devotee has read any Shastra for that matter. Now they, because Prabhupada's books are there. That's why we are reading this Samhita, that Veda, this Veda, that Upanishad, this Upanishad. But 95% of the Vedas are in one sense lupta. Lupta means it is hidden, or it is unmanifested, or it is lost, or it is not seen. It cannot be downloaded. Prabhupada books are the only books which are there available. And one more thing is that Prabhupada is the only person who has wrote books and lived according to his own books. What is that? Jesus Christ, whatever most of them is said, it is said, but we don't know whether they lived or not. Muhammad, for example, he has written, after Quran, he didn't see, but whatever namaz they are doing, Muhammad has not done any 5 times namaz, never in his life. If you read the whole life history of Muhammad, he has never done 5 times namaz, Hajj Yatra. He has not done anything like that.
This all came like later on. This. But Prabhupada said, yeah. Prabhupada said that
Prabhupada's books means
10,000 years.
Prabhupada has himself written that books, and Prabhupada himself has followed that books, and he is giving that book. So this is somewhat out of the world. Okay, Jagannath Chandra Prabhu, you can read.
Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay, this has happened conversely. Without our books, our preaching will have no effect. Okay, Srila Prabhupada's books. When we say book are the basis, we mean Srila Prabhupada's books. As he stated, this mission has been established simply on the publishing and distribution of my books. He repeatedly emphasized, I want specially that my books and literature should be distributed profusely. I want especially that my books be distributed widely. The beauty of Srila Prabhupada's book is their appeal to people from all cultural backgrounds and walks of life, being appreciated by scholars, yet accessible to the layman. My books are selling all over the world in universities, so libraries, to learned professors, and the public also is receiving my books with great respect. My purports for each and every verse from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam very much appeal to the people in general as well as learned circles. As Tamal Krishna Goswami stated, your books are so simple and nice, Srila Prabhupada, that even little children take pleasure in hearing Krishna book and find no difficulty in understanding. And the biggest scholars, they are also praising. Yeah, with confidence in his books, power to convince an objective reader to accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead and to take up the life of devotion service. Srila Prabhupada wrote expecting to find his reader prepared to hear sound philosophy and always willing to accept truth, especially when presented logically and relevantly and supported by authoritative Vedic literature. The scriptural commentaries by previous acharyas were mostly guides to understand the text, written primarily for perusal by panditas. Perusal means?
Spiritual means action of reading or examining something.
Okay. Persons deeply conversant with Vedic lore who would then take help from commentary to orally explain to others a particular shastra. Such commentaries were not intended for wide circulation, nor was that feasible prior to the advent of printing press and of mass education. As a translator and interpreter of Sanskrit and Bengali texts, Srila Prabhupada served as a medium between these distant authorities and his modern Western readership. He had to speak the language of people vastly disparate from.
One second.
I think next, disparate from the scripture's original recipients without compromising the fidelity of the tradition. Srila Prabhupada was the first Vaishnava commentator to have his books widely distributed to the general public in the West, whose people were fully devoid of the faith and appreciation that comes naturally to persons raised within the Vedic culture. His writings were addressed not only to his disciples and future disciplinary followers, but also to a wide audience in the dramatically changed circumstances of mass literacy. Also distinctive about Srila Prabhupada's commentaries of the frequency and depth of Shastric
Not
perspective.
commentaries, Prabhu. Also distinctive about Srila Prabhupada's commentaries.
Commentaries are the frequency.
It's not commentaries.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
commentaries.
Commentary and are the frequency and depth of Shastric perspective on social issues. Jay Advaita Dasa described the tremendous and unique contributions Srila Prabhupada made via his books. Although Srila Prabhupada gave us a way of transcendental realization by which even a child can very easily make advancement in spiritual life simply by chanting Hare Krishna, he also left the world a unique library of profound philosophical literature studied and praised by scholars and intellectuals, eagerly acquired by professors and librarians, and treasured by devotees of Vedic philosophy and culture. To a world afflicted by lack of spiritual knowledge and plagued by sentimental, vague, flimsy ideas of wisdom and truth, Srila Prabhupada's books offer the rigorously consistent, all-conquering, deeply rewarding transcendental philosophy of the Vedic literature. Srila Prabhupada's books are unique because they are present the Vedic literature as it is, without personally motivated interpretations. Consequently, his books, apart from their immense scholarly and literary value, offer one the opportunity to understand and actually attain the perfection of self-realization and ultimately realize the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, and see Him face to face. In other words, by reading his books, not only one can gain access to a wealth of Vedic history, poetry, philosophy, culture, and guidance in down-to-earth practical affairs, but also one can traverse the path to the highest perfection of human life. Those who have lost their spiritual vision due to darkness of present age of coral can get light from the books of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Rameshwara Dasa wakes at the quantity and quality of Srila Prabhupada's literary contribution. People are surprised that you have written so many books. They cannot understand how you could write so much. They wonder whether you were a great Sanskrit scholar for many years, so they try to guess. They just can't imagine anyone writing so much. They wonder where you have made the time to study so much about ancient Indian culture that you could write so much. They cannot understand that. There's a biography of your divine grace in the Bhagavatam that mentions different things, and they just can't understand how you could know so much. It is beyond material. Srila Prabhupada himself sometimes expressed surprise at how exquisite these books are. Sometimes I become surprised how I have written this. Although I am the writer, still sometimes I'm surprised how these things have come. Such vivid description. Where is such literature throughout the whole world? It is all Krishna's mercies. Every line is perfect. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes.
Actually, of course, I should not say like this. It will be creating controversy. But one thing is that if you read Maharaj books, they are in line with Prabhupada's books in
Yeah, definitely.
many, 100%. And Maharaj can also very clearly says that it's a vivid description. It's all Krishna's mercy. Every line is perfect. But can the devotees who have written so many books say like this? Or it's very difficult. Of course, we should not say like this. It creates some words. But this is important. Yeah. Anyhow, yes, Prabhu, please.
Yes. He was aware that these books were a unique, incomparable contribution. We are giving people an immense treasury of transcendental literature translated into the all important languages of the world. If we publish our Srimad Bhagavatam exactly in the way I have already begun it, it will be a unique contribution. Okay, next page. My Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's no comparison in the whole world. They are the greatest jewels and they are being appreciated all over the world. Hare Krishna. Very good. Krishna's books. In accord with Srila Prabhupada's Vaishnava quality of not taking the credit for his achievement, he did not claim his books to be exclusively his. They are not my books. I simply translating. They are written by Vyasadeva, the original Vedic scholar. By acknowledging that the words in our books are ambrosial, Srila Prabhupada stated why. Because they are not my personal words. They are the instructions of my predecessors, and I'm just trying to administrate them to my best knowledge. That is way of the parampara system. We have nothing to manufacture, but we simply carry the message as a faithful peon. Prabhupada himself is comparing as a peon, such a humble. A lady who had been reading Bhagavad Gita asked Srila Prabhupada, why is your Bhagavad Gita any better than anybody else Bhagavad Gita? Srila Prabhupada replied, because it is not my Bhagavad Gita. This is... Now it will come. This is Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is not Bhagavad Gita as you like or as you might not want it to be. It is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhuji, can you just paste in this chat, our WhatsApp group also, this message? That will only this message. And yeah. For the time you can copy in notepad. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, please. Thanks.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, this will go away before. Yeah. 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 So, yeah. And thus, it is not my book. It is Krishna's book. I'm trying to best. Yes, sorry. I'm trying to my best to present it as it is. That much you can say.
I am
mine.
trying my best to present it
Okay.
as it is.
Okay. I'm trying my best to
You are
present
fumble,
it
Prabhu,
as it is.
you fumble a lot while reading. You can read slowly, no problem.
Okay,
Nobody
okay.
is
Actually,
pushing
whatever
you.
I copied
You can
in
read.
between. Okay, okay. I'm
Nothing.
trying
That's
my best
okay.
present it as it is. That much you can say. My. But there is nothing mine. As Srila Prabhupada revealed, a devotee writer does not himself write, but is assisted by Krishna. The secret in a devotee's writing is that when he writes about the pastimes of the Lord helps him. He does not write himself. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Since a devotee writes in service to the Lord from within within gives him so much intelligence that he sits down near the Lord and goes on writing books. In an intimate moment, Srila Prabhupada disclosed that he personally read his own books and that they were dictated to him by Krishna. Do you know that every day when I read my own books, do you know why I read my books? I read my books every day because even I learned something new when I read my books. These are not my books. I don't write these books. Every morning when I sit here to write my books, Krishna comes personally and dictates to me what to write. I simply take dictation from Krishna to write these books. Therefore, when I read them, even I learn something. When a disciple said, the only hope is to read your books, Srila Prabhupada retorted. Retorted means
Retort means he again replied in a little bit very,
okay.
yeah.
My books, Krishna's books. They are Krishna's books because the center is Krishna. The whole Krishna book is centered around Krishna. Every page, the center is Krishna. Not only the Krishna book, all our books, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the center is Krishna. Bhagavata, the center is Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, the center is Krishna. Nectar of Devotion, the center is Krishna. These books are as good as Krishna. All our books are as good as Krishna because we deal in these books about Krishna only. Therefore, taking shelter of these books means taking shelter of Krishna. Particularly, Krishna book is Krishna in book form. Actually, I think Maharaj first read this Krishna book and then came to Krishna consciousness. This is the first book of Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Everything is in his books. As early as 1970, when only a few of his books had been published, Srila Prabhupada wrote, I have already given you full instructions in my books. He continued to iterate this theme. We have got so many books, everything is there. Everything is given in my books for you. Everything is in my books, in the books. I have given my ideas and direction in my books. There is nothing to be said new. Whatever I have to speak, I have spoken in my books. Srila Prabhupada often demonstrated this principle when preaching to guests and conversations with disciples. By having a senior follower read from a selected purport to explain a point that he was making. Such readings would sometimes continue for 15 minutes or longer, and Srila Prabhupada would attentively listen and expect others present also to do so. Not only is everything in Srila Prabhupada's books, but even in the first volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, all our philosophy, everything you need to know is in those. And thus, in the early days, when those were the only books available in Srila Prabhupada's followers, sometimes Brahmananda would say that Swamiji had told him something very intimate about Krishna consciousness in private. But when he would tell what Swamiji had said, someone else would recall that the same thing was in Srimad Bhagavatam. Stating that I have instructed everything in my books and everything I have wanted to say, I have said in my books, Srila Prabhupada exhorted his disciples to regularly study them, whereby they would be able to understand everything. In my books, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is explained fully. So if there is anything which you do not understand, then you have to simply read again and again. If you simply read these books regularly, then you will understand everything very clearly. Concluding his response to the queries of the newcomer, Srila Prabhupada iterated the same point. Actually, I have already answered all questions in my books, such as Bhagavad Gita. So kindly read them and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. All knowledgeable is there for becoming a competent preacher. See, all knowledge is there to become a competent preacher. Krishna has given you a nice opportunity to preach the philosophy, so you must be sure to understand it rightly. Everything is given in my books for you. Everyone can become a first-class speaker. Simply cram the purports of my books. See, simply cram. Purports of my books. The references are there. The philosophy is there. Everything is there. Of course, it is not by reading alone that everything can be understood. One has to also engage in other aspects of devotional service. All questions will be clarified if you simply read our books very thoroughly and follow the simple process of devotional service as we have given it, to chant regularly and rigidly observe the regulative principles, rules, and regulations. Being reluctant to venture beyond what he had given in his books, Srila Prabhupada told some challenging disciples, "Whatever I know, I have explained in my books. Beyond that, I have got no knowledge." Of course, Krishna being unlimited, so are topics concerning him, and Srila Prabhupada, with certain provisos, also recommended the reading of other acharyas' works. These provide a cornucopia. What is cornucopia? Cornucopia is symbol of plenty consisting of a quotes on. Okay, abundant supply of good things of a specified kind. Okay. These provide a cornucopia of information and insights regarding, for instance, the many variegated pastimes of Krishna and some philosophic complexities, much of which is not found in Srila Prabhupada's writings. So the statement everything is in Srila Prabhupada's books can be understood to mean that all directions that are needed to be become okay. So the statement everything is in Srila Prabhupada's books can be understood to mean that all directions that are needed to become fully Krishna conscious may be found therein, even for readers with no prior knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Yes. Furthermore, these books provide all information, reasoning, and arguments required to preach Krishna consciousness in today's world, apart from some specialist fields. Chapter 2, Preaching is the Essence. While recognizing that devotional service is absolute and that Krishna can be served in many ways, Srila Prabhupada nevertheless emphasized that Krishna is specifically pleased to see someone preaching his glories. As a great sage naturally inclined to do good to others, having no other interest either in this life or the next, Srila Prabhupada often quoted Prahlad Maharaj's criticism of transcendentalists who are not interested in the welfare of others. Fully imbued with Prahlad's mood of dedication to benefit others, Srila Prabhupada inculcated the spirit within his followers, setting the tone for ISKCON, wherein preaching is the essence. Yare dekhe tare kaha Krishna upadesh, amar agya guru hoya taro desh. Whomever you meet, simply talk with him about the instructions given by Krishna, or tell him of the narrations about Krishna. Become a guru and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world simply by preaching the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This Srila Prabhupada wrote in his opening sentence to this verse's purport is the sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It is also the most important philosophical understanding. By his urgent, incessant, indomitable preaching spirit, Srila Prabhupada personified this instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Day and night, people would come into his room, sometimes a few, sometimes many. Prabhupada would always speak to them about Krishna. He would speak on the basis of Bhagavad Gita, calling for verses to be cited, answering questions, preaching much as in his classes. He would preach, preach, preach. He kept going hours on end, preaching the basic philosophy. Preaching was never far from Srila Prabhupada's mind. He personified Kirtaniya Sadahari. Keep me talking, that is my life. Don't let me stop talking. Ah. Once when he was preparing to leave New York, heading to the next preaching destination, in the midst of talk about packing, he spontaneously interjected, preach, 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 preach. So many times. When Srila Prabhupada went to Moscow, it was the mango season in India. Someone said, you will miss the mango season. Srila Prabhupada, you will miss the mango season. Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada replied, preaching in the snows of Russia is sweeter than any mango. And Radha Vallabh Das recounted an anecdote to show that even while sleeping, Srila Prabhupada was meditating on preaching. Wow. Wanting his disciples to imbibe this spirit, Srila Prabhupada repeatedly told them that preaching is our life. Preaching is our life. The more we preach, the more we are successful. He exhorted them to also make preaching the essence of their lives. It is my standing order to all my disciples that they should preach. My first instruction to all my disciples is that they should help me spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, utilizing their energy as best they are able to do it. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, everyone is a preacher, whether man or woman, it doesn't matter. Everyone should go out. Following the examples of the previous acharyas, all the members of the Krishna consciousness movement should try to benefit the conditioned souls by inducing them to become Krishna conscious and giving them all facilities to do so. Go everywhere, every part of the world, and give Krishna. That is the best service you can do. Indeed, everyone can be prepared to propagate this movement. Preaching should be undertaken by all means and by accepting all kinds of personal difficulties. Sometimes we have to cheat, sometimes we have to be injured, so many things. The only device is how people can become Krishna conscious. That is our mission. Some way or the other, these rascals should be converted to Krishna consciousness, either this way or that way. Simply put, our first and foremost business is to spread Krishna consciousness. Our main purpose is to spread Krishna consciousness. That is our mission. Preaching is the first and foremost. Hence, the process of Krishna consciousness should be very vigorously propagated all over the world. Somehow or other, we have to make vigorous propaganda. Now, check out your plan how to preach nicely all over the world. By often referring to the Sankirtan movement synonymously with ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada underscored that ISKCON is centrally focused on preaching. This preaching focus marks ISKCON as the true successor of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who stated, "The only duty of all merciful persons is to transform the contrary inclination of conditioned souls." Accepting that spirit, Srila Prabhupada's vision of preaching was directed towards a radical transformation of the consciousness of a change. Of it, of a radical, Srila Prabhupada's vision of preaching was directed toward a radical transformation of consciousness, a change of heart, both in individuals and within society at large, by delivering people from illusion and situating them in reality. As Srila Prabhupada variously put it, because people are ignorant, we have to enlightenment. We have to enlighten them. That is preaching. Preaching means that you have to turn the rascals and unfortunate to become intelligent and fortunate. Suppose there is such life where you can simply dance, eat, and live eternally, a happy life. Would you not live to accept it? Krishna consciousness preaching means to convince others that there is life like this. Thus, ISKCON aims not simply to increase the number of committed recruits, but also to effect a widespread change in the whole human society. This panoramic vision of preaching further distinguishes it from other Vaishnava organizations. Preaching benefits not only the public, it also saves devotees from Maya. Yes. Under all circumstances, keep our preaching work in front. It will save us in all conditions from the clutches of Maya. Therefore, save yourself, save others. This is our Krishna consciousness movement. And because ISKCON is meant for preaching, all activities within it we are also preaching, whether directly or indirectly. It is not that preaching means simply talking. Preaching means everything. Construction is also preaching. Designing is also preaching. Everything is. Otherwise, what is the use of spending so much money if it is not preaching? When asked, is arranging for chanting and dancing and taking prasad as good as preaching? Srila Prabhupada replied, yes. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Archanam, anything. The result of not preaching, without preaching, our institution becomes all rubbish. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, Goshti Anandi preachers, we'll read tomorrow. We'll start from here. So if you have anything to ask, devotees can ask. Otherwise, I will stop here. Okay, so we will stop here and continue tomorrow from Goshti Anandi preachers. Let me. Okay, where is it? Let me put a bookmark. Yes, Goshti Anandi preachers. So we'll stop here and meet tomorrow. Thank you for all your attention, and we will meet tomorrow at this time. Until then, Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo vacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhuji, I have a request, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, can we reduce by 15 minutes? Exactly at 7:15 we start and 8:15 we close.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Okay, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo vacha vaishnavebhyo namah. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swami Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Modern Mission of Srila Prabhupada ki jai.